Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this webinar. It's a relatively short one this morning on using a keyboard and mouse with Canvas. Um, we'll go straight into it, but if you have any questions, put them in and we'll get to the end.
Hello and welcome to today's webinar. Today we will look at using a keyboard and mouse with Canvas. Let's look at our agenda for today. We are going to start by talking about why you would use a keyboard and mouse. We are also going to talk about the different applications and how do you connect a keyboard and mouse to a Horner OCS. What interfaces are supported, and there will be demonstrations throughout, and we will finish with a Q&A session. Why use a keyboard and a mouse with Canvas? Let's first talk about why you might not use it for most applications. Touchscreens are conducive to effective operator interactions. You are starting or stopping a machine. You are adjusting a set point. Possibly you are selecting the next product to run from the recipe. All those things work well with a touchscreen. Some machine environments are not great for a keyboard and mouse. They are unclean and not a lot of flat surfaces around, and the operators may not need to do that much data entry, but there are cases in which it does make sense, and we are going to explore those next. Let's talk about controlled room style environment. What we are talking about are temperature controlled environments where it is not uncommon for the operator to be seated or possibly in a desktop environment while they are working. They have a mixture of computer monitors and more industrial touch screens, and keyboard and mouse inputs is something they are used to for their normal job. So in that controlled room style environment, that makes a lot of sense. And when we say controlled room style environments, we mean it could be an on board, on a boat or a ship, or possibly in an airport environment. It could be in any type environment. There are a variety of different scenarios where keyboard and mouse type input might make sense, also applications with heavy data entry. Let's say there's a lot of alphanumeric entry, or a lot of numeric entry that requires a lot of precision. That is another scenario where keyboards can be an advantage. Now, what kind of keyboard and mouse should you use? Let's talk about electronically first of all. Any USB style mouse that uses a standard USB type driver would work fine. Now, we are not talking about whether the keyboard or mouse will survive in the environment or about the amount of water or dirt or electronic noises and all those sort of things that can cause traditional consumer level keyboards and mice to not work well in an environment. But if you use a USB style mouse, there is a good chance that it's going to work with Canvas. Now, what about wireless? Well, if the wireless interface that plugs into a USB port on the OCS, if it looks just like a standard mouse input, then it could work. For our demonstration, we are going to show you some mouse and keyboard peripherals on the bench. Let's start by connecting a keyboard and a mouse to the Horner Canvas OCS. So if we want both of them connected at once, we are going to need to use a hub. Right now we have got a wired keyboard and a mouse, and there is only one USB port, so we need the hub. This is the hub. We are only connecting a keyboard and a mouse to it. Not very heavy from a power standpoint, so there is not extra power cable. The whole hub and all of the peripherals are all powered from the OCS USB port. Let's see how it works. So this is a standard USB mouse, and you can see we have a mouse pointer here, and because we have a keyboard, if we had to type in some ASCII such as the name of the company that we are deploying our pizza oven to, even with a serial number, using the keyboard can sometimes be an advantage. Typing in the standard set point for the pizza oven, we are going to type in our name as a test technician along with the deployment date. As you can see, if you have got a standard USB keyboard and mouse along with a standard hub, you're going to want to choose hardware that is appropriate for the environment you are using it in. But if it is based on a standard USB drivers, it will probably work. Let's go ahead and test some wireless devices. We have got a wireless mouse. It plugs in using a receiver. We have got it plugged in directly into the OCS. We are going to be testing this mouse on its own, and it looks like that in its most basic form. It does work. This Logitech wireless mouse does claim to have Linux compatibility, and there is a customized version of Linux inside the Canvas OCS. It does seem to work. For the next test of the wireless device, this time we have got a combo, a slim wireless combo from Logitech, and this time they do not claim to have any Linux compatibility. They just mentioned Windows and Chromebook. It interfaces using a wireless receiver But again, this is for two, both a keyboard and a mouse through one receiver. We have got our mouse pointer. You can see there on the screen, it does appear to be working. Now let's try doing some typing here. That seems to work as well. It looks like a lot of the wireless mice are using standardized drivers and could be compatible in the most basic way with the Canvas OCS. That concludes our webinar for today. Thank you so much for listening, and the Q&A session will begin shortly.
Okay, quick one this morning. The links are up for the upcoming webinars as well, if you have an interest in doing those. I don't see any questions in, so I think we can leave it there for today. Thank you all for joining, and I will see you next time.